My name is Henry Peterson, and I am 70 years old. I'm a retired deli owner, and I live in Houston, Texas, the heart of the Lone Star State. What I am about to share is the most humiliating and painful story of my life. A story that taught me that a lonely old man in love isn't just blind. He's deaf too. And on my honeymoon, the one time that should have been the most special moment in a couple's life, I discovered the bitter truth, not by hearing whispers in the swimming pool, but by overhearing a cruel conversation in the quiet corner of the resort kitchen at 3 in the morning. If you've ever been betrayed, if you've put your trust in the wrong person, or if you've ever felt like an idiot for believing in someone who didn't deserve it, please hit that like button to lift this old man's spirits. Subscribe to the Grandpa's Diaries channel right now so you don't miss the upcoming stories I plan to share. And tell me in the comments where you are watching this video from and what time it is there now. Have you gone through a disappointment that changed your life? I love knowing what city you are in and at what time of day you are joining me. I was born and raised right here in Houston. My father was a baker, and his father before him, back when a neighborhood bakery was the heart of the community. I learned how to mix dough before I learned how to read. The smell of rising yeast, the warm bread coming out of the oven, that was my entire world. I'd wake up before dawn, knead the flour, and watch the sun rise as the first customers arrived. It was a simple life, but it was mine. I married young to a local girl, Eleanor, a hard-working woman of grit, the kind who never complained. We ran the deli together for many years. She handled the cash register and the books. I handled the production. Our children grew up helping at the counter, delivering bagels and sandwiches by bike throughout the neighborhood. Life was good, you know. We weren't rich, but we had everything we needed. Fresh sourdough on the table every day, Sunday dinners with brisket and creamy mashed potatoes, and holiday gatherings where the whole family ate turkey and pumpkin pie. The years flew by. The deli grew, we remodeled, bought better equipment, and hired more staff. Our children graduated and pursued different careers. But Eleanor and I remained dedicated to our work until fate played a cruel trick on us. She started feeling sick, losing weight without explanation. By the time we found out, it was too late. Within a few months, I lost my partner of so many years. I was left alone, a widower, unsure what to do with my life. The business was still running, but I was empty inside. And it was in that emptiness, that deep void, that I made the biggest mistake of my life. A mistake that would cost me far more than I could ever imagine. Because it was right when I was most vulnerable, most weak, most needy that she appeared. I needed to hire a new counter assistant for Peterson's famous deli. The previous girl had moved to Dallas with her husband. I put up a simple sign on the door, "Help wanted." A few people came in, but none seemed right for the job until she walked through the door. Skylar, young, beautiful, all smiles. Long, perfectly styled blonde hair, simple but well-maintained clothes. She had those big, expressive blue eyes that seemed to look right into your soul. She introduced herself, said she desperately needed the job, that she was dedicated, and a quick learner. I hired her right then and there, and that's where my misery began, though I didn't know it yet. Skylar started working at the deli. She was friendly with the customers, polite and helpful. She quickly learned the routine. She knew how to handle the money, the change, the rush. The customers loved her. And she had a special way with me, you know, always attentive, always asking if I was okay, if I'd eaten, if I needed anything. "Mr. Peterson, you need to take better care of yourself," she'd say. "You work too much and you stay here alone. That's not healthy." At first, I thought it was just her good manners, typical employee courtesy. But as the days passed, I started noticing something more. She would look at me in a different way. She'd laugh when I told a story about the deli, and she'd touch my hand or arm when she spoke to me. Small gestures, subtle signs that I, in my loneliness, began to interpret in a way I shouldn't have. One day she came up to me and said, "Mr. Peterson, can I tell you something? You're a very distinguished man. Did you know that? So different from the guys my age. They are all irresponsible and immature. They don't know what they want out of life. But you are different. You are serious, hard-working. You have presence." I didn't know how to respond. I thanked her, said it was just the way I was raised. But those words stuck in my head, revolving around and around. The weeks went by, and Skylar got closer and closer. She'd bring me food, saying she had made too much at home. She'd stay late helping to close the deli, even when I told her it wasn't necessary. One day she leaned in and said, "Mr. Peterson, you don't stay lonely, do you? It must be sad to come back to an empty house after so many years of marriage." I admitted it was difficult, and she replied, "A man like you shouldn't be alone. You deserve someone to care for you, someone to keep you company." I was blind, my friend. Blinded by loneliness, by need, by the void left by Eleanor. I started seeing in Skylar a chance to start over, not to be alone for the rest of my life. I started looking at her differently, and she noticed. She knew she had me hooked. One day, as we were closing up, she kissed me. She initiated it. She walked up to me, cupped my face, and kissed me. And I, weak and needy as I was, kissed her back. That's how our relationship began, fast, intense, and somewhat confusing. She was 31, and I was 66 at the time, a 35-year difference. But I didn't want to think about it. She said age didn't matter, that what mattered was the feeling. "Love has no age, Henry," she'd say, calling me by my first name, without the mister. "What matters is that we are happy." And I wanted to believe it. I wanted to believe I could be happy again, that I deserved a second chance, that I wouldn't die alone. But the signs were all there in front of me, and I refused to see them. The relationship with Skylar was like a whirlwind. Just 6 months, but they were intense. She was affectionate, attentive, always glued to me. She called me several times a day, sent texts saying she missed me, that she was thinking of me. She took me out to dinner, to the movies, things I hadn't done in years. I felt alive again. I felt young, even though I wasn't. She had a way of making me forget my age, forget the difference between us. But I need to be honest here. My children didn't like it. Not at all. When I introduced Skylar to them, I saw the looks on Ethan's and Audrey's faces. They tried to hide it. They were polite to her. But afterwards, when we were alone, the comments started. "Dad, that girl is way too young for you," Ethan said. "She's young enough to be your daughter. This isn't right." Audrey was even more direct. "Dad, that woman is only after one thing. She has her eye on your money, the deli, the house. Wake up, for Pete's sake." I got angry, very angry. I said they didn't understand anything, that they were being judgmental, that I had the right to be happy again. "Do you want me to be alone for the rest of my life? Do you want me to die of loneliness? Skylar makes me happy. She gives me attention, she takes care of me," I yelled. They tried to reason with me, but I wouldn't listen. I was blind, deaf, and foolish. Other people tried to warn me too. My friend Frank, who owned a sandwich shop down the street, brought it up one day. "Henry, I don't want to butt in, But that girl you're with, man, she's so young. And she's always asking questions about your finances, how much you make, how the deli is doing, if you have other businesses. That's not normal. I dismissed him too. I said it was jealousy, that people couldn't stand to see an older man with a pretty woman. That it was sexism, prejudice, small-town gossip. Skylar noticed the resistance from my family and used it to her advantage. She started playing the victim, saying she was being unfairly treated, that no one was giving her a chance to make me happy. Henry, your children hate me. They don't want you to be happy. They want you to stay alone so they can inherit everything, she'd cry. And I, the fool that I was, believed her. I believed her and took her side, fighting with my own children over a woman I barely knew. It was in that tense atmosphere that I made the most idiotic decision of my life. I decided to marry her. Skylar was clever. She didn't ask me directly. She planted the idea in my head slowly. Henry, I wish so much I had a real family, you know? I never had that. My mother is poor. My dad died when I was little. I always dreamed of having a home, a person to call mine. She would look at me with those tear-filled eyes, and I would melt. I convinced myself that she needed me, that I could give her the life she never had. Until one day, I said, Skylar, will you marry me? She faked surprise. She pretended she hadn't expected it, but I saw the flash in her eyes. It was the flash of victory, of the successful operation. But I didn't see that. I only saw a happy, excited girl saying yes, that she wanted to marry me, that I was the man of her life. I set the wedding for 2 months later. I told my children. Ethan tried one last time. Dad, for God's sake, don't do this. It's insane. That woman is going to ruin you. Audrey wept. She begged me to reconsider, but I was stubborn. Either you come to my wedding and respect my decision, or you don't. And we're done forever, I said. It was a cruel ultimatum. They chose not to come. They couldn't pretend to support it. And I was hurt, thinking they were bad people who didn't care about my happiness. The wedding day arrived. It was a simple ceremony in a Houston church with few guests. Skylar looked beautiful in a white dress, all dressed up. I was in a suit, feeling like the luckiest man in the world. Some friends attended more out of courtesy than support. My children didn't show up, and I told myself, they'll regret it. They'll see that I was right. They'll see that Skylar is a good woman. But it was me who was going to regret it, and in the worst way possible. After the ceremony, we had a small reception in a hall. Food, drinks, music. Skylar was radiant, dancing, chatting with everyone. I was happy, thinking I had started a new, better chapter in my life. What an illusion. What blindness. Before the party ended, I made an announcement. Everyone, next week, my wife and I are going on our honeymoon. Maui, Hawaii, a 5-star resort. We're going to enjoy our first days as a married couple as we deserve. Skylar hugged me, kissed me, so happy. You're wonderful, my love. It's going to be unforgettable, she said. And it was unforgettable, but not in the way I imagined. We prepared everything for the trip. I booked a resort on Maui, one of the most expensive ones. Luxury suite, ocean view, private balcony, the best of the best. I spent around $600,000 on that trip. $600,000, money I had saved my entire life sweating in the deli, getting up at dawn, working until my fingers hurt. But I wanted to impress my wife. I wanted her to feel special, to see that I could give her a good life. I wanted to prove to my children that I was right, that this marriage would work, that Skylar truly loved me. We took the flight from Houston to Maui. The journey was long, but Skylar was ecstatic. She wouldn't stop talking, taking photos, making videos for her phone. "Look at this luxury, honey. What a wonderful place. I never imagined I'd see a place like this," she said with that broad smile on her face. And I was proud, thinking I was doing everything right, thinking she was happy because she loved me. Not because she was calculating how much everything cost, what my assets were worth, and how much she was going to get from me. We arrived at the resort late in the afternoon. The place was truly beautiful, I can't deny it. Manicured tropical gardens, tall palm trees swaying in the ocean breeze, huge pools with crystal clear water, elegant restaurants, a gym, a spa, everything very well maintained, very chic. The kind of place I'd never been to in my life. The receptionist welcomed us with champagne, handed us the keys with that professional smile, and led us to our suite. Our suite was enormous. King-size bed with crisp white sheets, a jet tub, a spacious balcony with a view right onto the ocean. You could hear the sound of the waves breaking on the sand. Skylar jumped for joy, like a child, taking photos of every corner. She asked me to take a picture of her on the balcony, another on the bed, another in the marble bathroom. "I want to show my friends. They're going to die of jealousy," she laughed. I took all the pictures she asked for, happy to see her happy. What an idiot I was. We rested a bit from the trip. We showered, got dressed, and went to dinner at the resort's main restaurant. An elegant place, with white tablecloths, silver cutlery, and waiters in ties serving with impeccable courtesy. There was live music, a pianist playing soft melodies. We ordered the special honeymoon menu: lobster, shrimp scampi, filet mignon, sophisticated sides, imported wine, the best of everything. I felt like a king, providing this experience for my wife. But during dinner, I noticed something that bothered me. Skylar couldn't take her eyes off her phone. Every couple of minutes, she'd check the screen, smile, and quickly type something. "Are you okay, honey?" I asked. Yes, it's just my mom. She's texting me, worried, wanting to know if we arrived safely." It seemed strange to me because her mother had never shown so much concern before. But I let it go. "Tell her everything is perfect," I said. Skylar smiled, typed something else, and finally put the phone away. We finished dinner, walked around the resort a bit, holding hands. We enjoyed the night breeze. The sky was full of stars, the full moon shining over the ocean. It was beautiful, romantic. I was happy. We returned to the suite around 11 o'clock. I was tired from the trip, from the busy day. After all, I was a man in his late 60s. I didn't have the stamina I used to. My body couldn't handle those marathons anymore, but I was excited. It was our first night as an officially married couple, our honeymoon. But when I entered the room, I found Skylar already lying in bed, facing away from me, curled up. "Honey, I'm exhausted from the trip. We'll make better use of tomorrow, okay?" she said, without even looking at me, with that tired voice. I was disappointed, of course. After all, it was our first night. But I tried to understand. She was young, but she had also traveled for hours and was tired. "It's okay, my love. Rest. We have our whole lives ahead of us," I said, trying to hide my frustration. I lay down beside her, happy just to be there with my wife on our honeymoon. I fell asleep hugging her, dreaming of the wonderful days to come. What a fool. What a dreamer. The next day, I woke up early. A baker's habit, right? A lifetime of getting up before the sun rises. The body can't unlearn it. I can't sleep late, even if I want to. Skylar was still sleeping, her face buried in the pillow. I went out to the balcony, sat in the lounge chair, and watched the ocean. It was beautiful. The sun rising on the horizon, painting the sky orange and pink. The sound of the waves, the smell of the sea. Peaceful. But I felt a twinge of unease in my chest. You know, I wasn't sure why. That strange feeling that something wasn't right. But I ignored it. I thought it was just anxiety and fear that something might go wrong. I ate breakfast alone in the restaurant, a huge buffet with fruits, pastries, juices. I went back to the room. Skylar was waking up, stretching in bed. "Good morning, honey," she said, all smiles, as if nothing had happened the night before, as if she hadn't left me frustrated on our first married night. But I didn't want to fight. I didn't want to ruin the trip. "Good morning, my dear. Did you sleep well?" "Wonderfully. Shall we go to the beach?" We spent the morning at the beach. I stayed under the umbrella because I can't handle too much sun. My skin isn't built for hours on the beach anymore. Skylar stayed on the sand sunbathing, but always with her phone in her hand, taking selfies, sending texts, laughing to herself while looking at the screen. "Who are you talking to, honey?" I asked, trying not to sound jealous. "My mom, my friends. They're all dying of jealousy of me here in this paradise," she replied, laughing. It seemed strange to me that she was so concerned with showing the photos to her friends when she should be enjoying the moment with me. But I didn't say anything. In the afternoon, I booked a boat tour of the nearby beaches. It was nice. We saw beautiful spots, deserted beaches, natural caves. The boat bounced on the waves. We laughed, took photos. But even there, during the tour, Skylar was more interested in documenting everything for Instagram than in enjoying the moment with me. "Honey, put that phone away for a bit. Truly enjoy the scenery," I asked. She got a little annoyed. "I am enjoying it, okay? I'm just taking a few pictures." I let it go again. At night, we had dinner at the same restaurant, and again, she was glued to her phone. "Sorry, honey. My mom is just being clingy today. She won't stop texting." She apologized without taking her eyes off the screen. "Is everything okay with her?" I asked with genuine concern. "Yes, just missing me." But there was something about the way she spoke that didn't convince me. The smile she gave while looking at her phone wasn't the smile of someone talking to her mom. It was a different kind of smile, an intimate smile. After dinner, we returned to the room, and it was the same as the night before. This time, a headache. "Honey, I have a terrible headache. I think it was too much sun today." I started to get really annoyed. 2 nights in a row. It was our honeymoon, for God's sake. But I didn't pressure her. I didn't want to be that kind of man. "Take some medicine, rest. You'll be better tomorrow." She took the medicine and went to sleep, or pretended to. On the 3rd day, Skylar announced she was going to the hotel gym. "I need to work out a bit, honey, to keep my figure. To stay beautiful for you," she said, giving me a wink. It seemed strange to me because I had never seen her go to the gym before. She had never shown that interest. But I let it go. "Go ahead, my love. I'll stay here and relax." I stayed in the room watching television, trying to unwind, enjoying the air conditioning. She took a long time. She was out for about 3 hours. 3 hours working out? It made no sense. I started to worry. When she finally returned, she was sweaty, freshly showered, smelling of perfume. "Whew! I worked out so much I'm sore," she said, tossing her gym bag onto the bed. 3 hours, honey? Working out?" She laughed. No. Working out was only an hour. After that, I chatted with some girls there. We made friends. And then I took a shower, got a facial at the spa. You know how women are, right? I asked her if she wanted to have lunch with me. I already had a salad at the gym, honey. Besides, I'm going for a massage at the spa now. It's included in the package. Don't you want one too? I declined. I'm not big on massages. I never was. I feel uncomfortable with strangers touching me. Then I'm going alone. I'll be right back. And she left again. I was alone in the room again, looking out the window, watching the other couples on the beach, happy together. And I was there, alone on my honeymoon. The days continued that pattern. Skylar constantly disappearing. Gym in the morning, spa in the afternoon. Call from her mom at night, always an excuse. And I was left alone, waiting. I tried not to think bad thoughts. I tried to believe everything was innocent, that she was just taking advantage of the resort amenities that I had paid for so dearly. But deep down, I knew something was wrong. That feeling in my chest just grew. On the fourth night, during dinner, she was especially distracted. She looked at her phone every 2 minutes, smiled, bit her lip, and typed quickly. "Are you okay, honey?" I asked for the 1,000th time. Yes, it's just that my mom is sick now. I'm worried." Her tone was different. There was an emotion in her voice that didn't match worry. "Do you want to call her? Talk properly? Go to the hospital?" "No, it's not necessary. She's already better. I'll call her later to be sure." We returned to the room around 10 p.m. She grabbed her phone and said, "Honey, I'm going downstairs to call my mom. The signal isn't very good here. It keeps cutting out." "I'll go to the reception area. The signal is better there. I'll be right back." And she left. I looked at the clock. 10:15 p.m. I lay in bed, turned on the TV, tried to distract myself with a movie that was playing. But I couldn't pay attention. My mind was focused on her, on the delay, on the strange behavior. 11 o'clock p.m. Nothing. Midnight, nothing. I sent a text. "Is everything okay? Is your mom better?" The response came quickly. "I'm on my way back, honey." But she didn't come back. 15 minutes passed, half an hour, 1 o'clock a.m., and no Skylar. I started to get really nervous. I called her cell phone. It rang, and went to voicemail. I called again, the same thing. Did something happen? Did she feel ill? I got out of bed, put on some shorts, a shirt, and sandals. I decided to go look for her. I couldn't stand staying there waiting anymore, my head filled with bad thoughts. I left the room, closed the door, and started walking through the resort hallways. The hotel was quiet at that hour, very few people around. The reception area was almost empty, just the night receptionist at the computer. "Good evening. Did you see my wife pass by here?" A girl with long hair, a flowery dress. He thought for a moment. "I think I saw her heading towards the kitchen area, sir, but a while ago." "Towards the kitchen? To call her mom?" It made no sense. "Thank you," I said, and started walking in the direction he indicated. My heart started beating faster, that bad feeling intensifying with every step. I passed the bar, which was already closed. I passed the silent and dark gardens. And then I heard sounds. Low voices, muffled laughter, water splashing, coming from the kitchen and back of house area. My heart froze in my chest. I stood paralyzed for a few seconds. My whole body began to tremble. It can't be, I thought. It must be another couple hanging out. My wife is calling her mom somewhere. But my feet started walking on their own, slowly, one step at a time, getting closer to those sounds that echoed in the silent night. Sounds that stirred something deep inside me. A fear, a dread, a certainty I didn't want to accept. The hotel kitchen was separate from the main building, connected by a long service corridor. The lighting there was functional, fluorescent, and cold, far from the resort's romantic atmosphere. I got closer, hidden behind some large recycling bins, my heart pounding so hard I was sure they would hear me. And then I saw two people inside, silhouetted against the bright light, standing very close to one of the large steel prep tables. A woman and a man. The woman had long, messy hair, exactly like Skylar's. And that laugh, that damned laugh that I knew so well, that I had heard so many times during our dating and marriage. It was her, my wife, in the arms of another man, in the hotel kitchen that cost me $600,000 on our honeymoon. I felt my legs give way. I had to lean on the side of a large cooler to keep from falling right there. My vision blurred. I don't know if it was tears or shock, but I forced my eyes to focus. I needed to be sure. It couldn't be a mistake. It couldn't be someone similar. I looked closer. It was her, without a doubt. Her figure, her voice. And the man was young, muscular, tan, a strong, athletic type. I recognized him. He was one of the creative chefs who worked in the resort's fine dining restaurant, Chad Riley, the one I had seen a few times passing through the lobby, always in his crisp white chef coat, always smiling, always greeting the guests, always with an eye on the married tourists. Now I understood why Skylar had that sudden interest in the kitchen area, not the pool. It wasn't the gym. It was him. I stood there, hidden, trembling, trying to process what I was seeing. Part of me wanted to run over there, yell, make a scene, grab that jerk by the neck and throw him away from my wife, kick him out of the kitchen, the resort, her life. But another part of my body was completely frozen, paralyzed, as if I had been turned off, disconnected from reality. I could only watch, hidden behind the bins like an invisible ghost, feeling my heart being ripped to pieces, shred by shred. And then they started talking, and what I heard was infinitely worse than any physical infidelity. It was the betrayal of the soul, the betrayal of truth, the complete revelation of the scam they had run on me. "When are you going to leave the old guy?" Chad asked, holding Skylar tightly against the prep table, their bodies pressed together. She let out a giggle, that light, careless laugh that I knew so well. But now it sounded different. It sounded cruel. "Relax, honey. Let me secure things first. I can't rush it, or it'll ruin everything." Chad kissed her neck. "But this honeymoon is driving me crazy, Skylar. Knowing you're here with him, sleeping in the bed with him, that he touches you." Skylar cut him off quickly. "He doesn't touch me at all, my love. Relax. I always invent something to avoid it. Headache, exhaustion, cramps, any excuse works. He's so dumb he believes everything." They both laughed. They laughed together at me. I felt a clench in my chest so strong, so violent, that I thought I was going to have a heart attack right there. My legs gave way again. I had to hold on to the cooler even tighter to keep from collapsing onto the floor. My breathing was failing, ragged, as if the air had run out. And they kept talking, oblivious to my presence, oblivious to the pain they were causing just a few feet away. "But you have to endure it." "For how much longer?" Chad insisted, running his hands up her back under her shirt. Skylar replied in that calculating, cold voice I had never heard before. 2 years. In exactly 2 years, I have the right to half of everything he owns. It's the law. Marriage over 2 years. The spouse is entitled to an equitable division of assets, even if I haven't contributed anything. Even if he finds out about the cheating later. It's too late. Half is mine. She paused, took a breath, and continued with more details that destroyed me with every word. My lawyer already explained everything. 2 years is the magic deadline for communal property rights in Texas. Before that, if he finds out, I could walk away with nothing. But after 2 years, no matter what happens, I have legal right. I'll have contributed enough time to the marriage. She laughed again, a cold, calculating, terrifying laugh. And he's rich, love. He has the deli that brings in good money. He has the house that's paid for and is worth a fortune. He has investments in the bank. I talked to my friend who works at the county clerk's office. She looked at his filings. We're going to walk away millionaires from this. Millionaires. The word echoed in my head. She didn't just want my money. She wanted half of everything I had built my entire life. The deli my father started, that I expanded with blood and sweat. The house I bought brick by brick, paying the mortgage for years. The savings I accumulated by getting up before dawn, working until my fingers ached, sacrificing weekends and holidays. She wanted to take all of that, not because she needed it, but because she could. Because it was a perfectly planned scam. Chad hugged her tighter, excited by the prospect. And then we're going where? Away from here? Skylar answered with that dreamy tone of someone planning the future. To San Francisco, honey. Far away from this dead-end town. We'll buy a condo on the coast, modern, beautiful. We'll open a creative catering service, you as the head chef. We'll truly live our lives, without having to hide, without having to pretend. Without having to pretend I don't want to throw up when he touches me. The words were like successive stabs in my chest. Every phrase, every word she uttered, destroyed me a little more. Old guy. She called me an old guy. The woman I loved, whom I had married, for whom I was providing a $600,000 honeymoon, was calling me an old guy behind my back and planning to steal half of everything I owned. It wasn't love. It was never love. It was a coldly calculated scam from the start. What if he gets suspicious before the 2 years? Chad asked with a hint of worry. Skylar scoffed. He won't suspect a thing. He's too dense. An old man in love is foolish, blind, deaf. He believes everything I tell him. I come back at 3 a.m., smelling of chlorine and of you. And he thinks I was talking to my mom. I disappear for 3 hours in the gym, and he thinks I was working out. I fake a headache every night so I don't have to go to bed with him. And he falls for it. It's so easy, it's almost sad. Almost. They both laughed out loud now, not bothering to hide anything. They laughed at me. They laughed at my naivete. They laughed at the foolish old man, the dumb old guy, the pathetic old guy that I was. And I was right there, just a few feet away, hearing every guffaw, feeling every laugh like a punch to the gut. Chad kissed her on the mouth, a long, lingering, intimate kiss. Mr. Peterson is very much a gentleman, isn't he? Very gentle. Must be boring. Skylar pulled back a little to respond. He's a complete sap. He spent $600,000 on this trip just to impress me. $600,000. Can you believe it? He thinks money buys love. She laughed again. But it buys silence. It buys patience. I'll endure him for 2 years, counting the days on the calendar. Every day that passes is one day closer to freedom, one day closer to the money. And how much do you think you'll walk away with? Chad asked, clearly interested in the numbers. Skylar thought for a moment. The deli brings in about $45,000 to $60,000 a month, clean. It's valued at about $8 million if we sell it. The house is worth about 6, 7 million easily. It's in a nice area of Houston, and he has some investments, some stocks, things he thinks I don't know about. But I check his stuff when he's asleep. He must have about 4 to 6 million invested. In total, we're talking about 20 million, maybe more. Half of that is mine. $10 million, honey. $10 million. My God, she knew everything. She had checked my documents, my life, my papers. She had calculated every penny I had. She had done the math on how much she was going to steal from me. $10 million. That was what I was worth to her. Not love, not companionship, not the chance to build a life together, just the money, just the successful scam. I'll be able to quit this hotel job, Chad said excitedly. Be free, live comfortably with you. Skylar kissed him again. We're going to live like king and queen, my love. And the best part is, it's all legal. It's not theft. It's right. The law protects me. He'll have to give me half of everything and won't be able to do a thing about it. But tonight, Chad asked in a more intimate tone, how can you stand sleeping next to him? Doesn't it gross you out? Skylar let out that damned giggle again. I pretend to sleep, or I fake a headache, or I say I'm going to call my mom and come here to meet you. He believes everything. Everything. He's so foolish that when I come back at 3 a.m. smelling of you, he just hugs me and sleeps happily, thinking he has the best wife in the world. They both burst into laughter, a cruel, wicked laugh that echoed through the empty kitchen. I couldn't take it anymore. I felt a wave of nausea rising in my throat. I turned, walked a few steps away, and vomited behind a large refrigerated prep station. I threw up everything. The expensive dinner, the imported wine, the illusion, the love, the trust. Everything pouring out of me in a painful, visceral rush. I stayed there, hunched over, trembling, wiping my mouth with the back of my hand, trying to breathe, trying to process, trying to understand how I could have been so blind, so foolish, so idiotic. My children warned me. Ethan and Audrey begged me not to marry her. They warned me she was a gold digger, that she wanted my money, and I refused to listen. I fought with them. I called them judgmental, jealous, bad people. My friend Frank also warned me. He said Skylar asked too many questions about my finances, that it wasn't normal, and I dismissed him too. I thought it was small-town gossip, and all along, they were right. Everyone was trying to protect me. But I, old, infatuated, and foolish, chose to believe the liar, the con artist, the professional gold digger. I returned near the kitchen. I needed to hear more. I needed absolute certainty to see the extent of the rottenness of it all. Skylar was stepping away from Chad now, grabbing a napkin. I have to get back to the room, she said, wiping her face. Otherwise, he'll get suspicious. It's getting really late. Chad pulled her in for another kiss, long, lingering, full of promises. Will I see you at the gym tomorrow? Of course, my love, always. I'll say I need to work out. He doesn't even question it. He stays in the room watching TV like a fool. Poor guy. He's paying a fortune for a honeymoon, locked in the room while his wife is here with me. He deserves it, Chad said. Who tells an old guy with no future to marry a girl like you? They quickly dressed, exchanged a few more kisses, coordinated details for the next day's encounter. And then Skylar started walking back towards the hotel, smoothing her hair, adjusting her clothes. Chad stayed a little longer, relaxed, leaning against the counter, as if nothing had happened, as if he hadn't just destroyed a man's life, as if she were just another married tourist he was sleeping with on vacation. I waited for both of them to leave completely. I waited for Chad to finish tidying up, put away his things, and walk away, whistling a tune. And then, only then, on that hot Maui night, under the starry sky, with the full moon shining down on me, I finally broke down completely. I sat on the cold floor, leaned my back against the cooler, and cried. I cried like I hadn't cried since Eleanor died. I cried even more because Eleanor's death was a tragedy. But this was a betrayal, a humiliation, a willful and calculated destruction. I cried out of pain, anger, shame, and humiliation. I cried for my naivete, for the loneliness that made me vulnerable, for my foolishness in thinking that someone 33 years old could genuinely fall in love with a man in his late 60s. I cried for ignoring my children, for fighting with them, for choosing this woman over my own family. I cried for being so easy to deceive, so foolish, so pathetic. Hot tears streamed down my face. My body trembled. My sobs were choked because I didn't want anyone to hear me. I didn't want anyone to see me. I was humiliated enough already. I stayed there for, I don't know how long, 10 minutes, 20, half an hour, just crying, just feeling the pain, letting it consume me entirely. But then, amidst those tears, in the depths of that unbearable pain, something started to change inside me. The pain began to give way to anger, and the anger began to give way to a coldness, a calculating coldness I didn't know I possessed. A coldness that came from indignation, from injustice, from the rage of being used like that. Skylar wanted to use me. She wanted to spend 2 years deceiving me, sleeping next to me, faking love, all to steal half of what I built my whole life. She thought I was a fool, an idiot who believed everything, who would remain blind for the next 2 years while she faked affection and planned my financial destruction. Well, she was about to see. She was about to see that this foolish old man still had some intelligence left. She was about to see that it wasn't so easy to rob me. Not when I already knew absolutely everything. I wiped the tears with the back of my hand. I took several deep breaths, filling my lungs with air, organizing my thoughts, planning, calculating. If she had a plan, I would have a better plan. If she thought she was clever, I would show her who was cleverer. Because it's one thing to scam someone who knows nothing. It's something else entirely to try to keep scamming someone who has already figured everything out. I stood up from the floor, dusted the dirt off my shorts, took one more deep breath, and returned to the room. I walked slowly, thinking about every step, every movement, planning how I would pretend, how I would play along with her game, because now the game had completely changed, and she had no idea. When I reached the suite, the clock showed nearly 4 o'clock a.m. Skylar still hadn't returned. Perfect. Enough time to execute my first move. Her cell phone was on the bedside table. She had left it there. She had only taken the old burner phone she probably used to communicate with him, without leaving traces on the main one. But the main one, where she had everything, was right there in front of me. I picked it up. I tried to unlock it. Password, obviously. I tried several obvious combinations. Nothing. Then I tried the date of our wedding. Bingo. It opened on the first try. What a bitter irony. The password for the phone that held all the plans to betray me, all the schemes to rob me, was the date of our wedding. It was almost poetic in its cruelty. I went in. My hand was shaking. I went straight to the messages. I searched for Chad. There it was, with a red heart next to the name. Chad with a heart. I opened it and read everything. Absolutely everything. Every text, every word. And it was much worse than I imagined. Far worse than any nightmare I could have had. The conversation started weeks before the wedding. Honey, everything is moving along. The old man is completely infatuated. It's going to be easier than I thought. Chad's reply. You're amazing, Skylar. So smart. When can we finally be together for real? 2 years, my love. Just 2 years. I can endure anything for 2 years, knowing we'll be rich at the end. I scrolled up the conversation to the very beginning. They met on a dating app. Chad worked as a creative chef at various resorts in Hawaii, always on the lookout for rich, married tourists. Skylar had been pulling small cons here and there, nothing too big, until they came up with the idea together. What if we pull a huge con? Fake marriage, wait 2 years, take half of everything. Brilliant. But you need an older, vulnerable guy with money. Leave it to me. I'll find the perfect mark. And she found me. Me. The lonely widowed deli owner with assets. The perfect mark. The ideal victim. I read her texts describing how she got the job at the deli, found out he was hiring, dressed up, went in, made the poor girl who needs a job face. Hired me instantly. A lonely man is so predictable. Chad replied, now you just have to reel him in slowly. You know how to do that. And she did. The messages detailed every step of the scam. Today, I brought him food, made the worried face. Told him he needs to take care of himself. He's melting. Today, I touched his hand on his arm when I spoke to him. Saw he liked it. Today, I gave him that special smile. He blushed. Every calculated gesture, every measured word, every rehearsed smile. Nothing was real. Everything was theater. I read the message from the day she kissed me for the first time. Done, honey. I gave him the first kiss today. He kissed me back completely. He's in the bag. Good. Now just deepen the bond, talk about marriage. Make him really fall for you. He already has. A needy old guy is easy. I'll use the story about the poor family, the dad who died, the dream of having a home. It always works. I kept scrolling through message after message, the entire plan being detailed. Today his kids gave me dirty looks. They're suspicious of me. But I used that to my advantage. Played the victim. Said they don't want him to be happy. He fought with his kids because of me. LOL. Perfect. The more isolated he is from his children, the better for us. Exactly. I'm already pushing him away from his family. That way, no one can warn him. I read the conversations about the wedding. He proposed to me. I didn't even have to ask. It's too easy. It's official, honey. I'm married. In 2 years, we'll be rich. There was even a photo of her in the wedding dress, but with her phone in hand, taking a selfie for Chad. On my wedding day, she was sending a photo to her lover. While I thought I was living the happiest day of my second chance, she was documenting the scam for her accomplice. The conversations with her friends were even worse. I found a group called The Perfect Plan with 3 of her girlfriends. They celebrated every stage. Girls, I got married. Ha ha. Now I just have to endure the old man for 2 years and I'll be rich. One friend replied, You're so bold, Skylar. I don't have the nerve. Another, How much do you think you'll get, Skylar? At least $10 million. At least 10. The deli is worth a fortune, and the house too. The lawyer already confirmed that with 2 years, I have the right to half of everything. They gave advice. Be careful he doesn't get suspicious before the 2 years. Fake it well. Look in love. Avoid sleeping with him much. Say you have a headache. Skylar replied, I'm already doing all that. He believes everything. Do you know he spent $600,000 on the honeymoon? too foolish. Chad is here at the resort too. We're meeting in secret. So much adrenaline. Ha ha. The friends replied, stunned. Girl, you're crazy. What if you get caught? We won't get caught. He sleeps early. He's old. He gets tired easily. I pretend I'm going to call my mom and go out. He doesn't suspect a thing. Brilliant. You are so clever. It's not cleverness. It's necessity. I need that money. I'm tired of being poor. I'm tired of working for crumbs. This time, I'm pulling the con of a lifetime. There were photos, intimate photos of her with Chad, several of them taken in motels, at his place, even at my house when I wasn't there. There were videos, short clips of them together, laughing, kissing. In one of them, Chad asked, "And the old man?" She replied, laughing, "Clingy, annoying, but I endure him. I think about you and the money we're going to have." There were audio files, recordings of their conversations, planning their future, life in San Francisco, the condo on the coast, the catering business they were going to open, all with my money, all that I had built with sweat. I kept checking. I found more conversations with her lawyer. Yes, she had hired a lawyer specializing in family law even before marrying me. Everything planned down to the smallest detail. Counselor, if I marry and stay for 2 years, am I entitled to half even if I don't work? Yes. The community property law guarantees that. After 2 years of marriage, you have the right to an equitable division of assets. And if he finds out about the cheating after the 2 years, it doesn't matter. The right to the division is already guaranteed. Infidelity doesn't negate the division of assets. She had calculated everything, every detail, every possibility. She even had a spreadsheet saved on her phone with my estimated assets. Delhi, 10 million. House, 7 million. Investments, 5 million. Total, $22 million. My share after 2 years, $11 million. $11 million was what I was worth to her. Not my love, not my companionship, not my person, just the money. I selected everything, every compromising conversation, every photo, every video, every audio file, every document. I sent it all to my personal email. I created a cloud folder and saved everything there too. Triple backup. I couldn't risk losing any evidence. Then I deleted the send history from her phone. I cleaned up the traces. I put everything back exactly as it was and waited. 15 minutes later, I heard the key in the door. Skylar entered the room quietly, trying not to make a sound. I was lying in bed facing away, pretending to sleep. She went straight to the bathroom. I heard the shower running. She was showering quickly to wash off his smell, the smell of chlorine, the smell of betrayal. After about 10 minutes, she came out of the bathroom, dried her hair quickly, and lay down beside me in bed. I felt the mattress sink with her weight. I felt the warmth of her body next to mine. That body that had been in another man's arms minutes ago. And for the first time since I met her, I felt disgust, a real, profound disgust. But I showed nothing. I kept pretending to sleep. She settled down, sighed softly, and within minutes, she was sleeping, or pretending to sleep too. I don't know, and I didn't care anymore. When the sun rose a few hours later, I opened my eyes, turned towards her, who was still sleeping, or pretending to sleep. And for the first time since I met Skylar, I managed to see who she really was. Not the affectionate, attentive girl who pretended to love me, but the cold, calculating, and cruel con artist who had turned my life into a macabre theater. And at that moment, I made a final decision. She wanted a game. Then she would have a game, but this time, the rules would be mine. I got out of bed, showered, and got dressed. When I returned to the room, Skylar was waking up, stretching, smiling at me with that fake smile I now recognized perfectly. "Good morning, honey," I said, with the calmest, most normal voice I could manage. She was slightly surprised by my cheerfulness. "Good morning, my dear. Did you sleep well?" "I did. And your mom? How is she today?" She blinked a few times, processing the question, remembering yesterday's lie. Better, thank God. Better, thank. I talked to her late last night. She's much calmer now." "That's good. You said if she needed anything, I just had to call." Liar, shameless, looking me in the eye and lying so naturally. "That's good, my love. I was worried about you. Disappearing so late, I thought something had happened." She let out a nervous chuckle. "Oh, honey, I was just talking to her for a long time. You know how moms are. They worry." I spent the last 3 days of the honeymoon pretending everything was normal. It was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. I had to pretend to believe her, pretend to love her, pretend to be happy. While inside I was boiling with rage, planning every step of my revenge. We went to the beach together, dined in the restaurants, took photos, and Skylar continued the same routine, disappearing to the gym, the spa, to call her mom. And I pretended to believe her. I pretended to be the foolish, infatuated old man she thought I was. But every time she disappeared, I knew exactly where she was. With him, in the kitchen, in some hidden corner of the resort, kissing, laughing at me, planning how they would spend my money. And I let her. I let her think she was winning, that the scam was working perfectly, because the more confident she became, the easier it would be to destroy her later. On the last day, at the airport, Skylar was ecstatic. She opened her arms, twirled around, and smiled at me. "It was perfect, honey. The best honeymoon anyone could ever have. Thank you for everything." I smiled back. "It was revealing," I replied. She didn't understand the double meaning. She thought it was a compliment. It truly was. It revealed how much we love each other. I just nodded. If she only knew what revealing truly meant. On the flight back to Houston, she slept the entire way, leaning on my shoulder, and I looked out the window, watching the clouds below, planning every detail of what would come next. Because now it was my turn to run a con on her. But mine would be legal. It would be fair. It would be deserved. When we got home, Skylar immediately started showing her true colors. The next day, over breakfast, "Honey, I was thinking, how about we trade in my car? Mine is getting old. It's always in the shop. I want something newer, nicer, don't you think?" I took a sip of coffee, breathed deeply, and replied, "Of course, my dear. Next week we'll go to a dealership and look at some new cars for you." She nearly jumped for joy. She came to hug me, to kiss me. "You're wonderful. The best husband in the world." A few days later, another demand. "Honey, this house is so old, so dated. I want to remodel, change the furniture, modernize everything, put in a gourmet kitchen, change the flooring, repaint. What do you think?" I said, "No problem, my love. You call the shots. We'll hire an architect to draw up some plans." She thought she had me wrapped around her little finger, that I was the foolish, infatuated old man who did everything she wanted, who she would rob of half of everything in 2 years without me noticing. But every demand of hers only gave me more certainty that I was doing the right thing. Every display of interest in my money gave me more strength to continue with the plan. That weekend, I called my son Ethan. "Son, I need to talk to you and your sister. It's urgent." He noticed the serious tone in my voice. "Is everything okay, Dad?" "No, but it will be. Can you come over one day when Skylar is out?" We set it for a Tuesday morning when Skylar would be at the nail salon and then the hairdresser, always fixing her hair, nails, and skin, all with my money, of course. When Ethan and Audrey arrived, we sat in the living room. I saw the anticipation in their faces. I took a deep breath. It wasn't going to be easy to admit they had been right all along. "Children, I need to apologize. You were right about everything. Skylar doesn't love me. She never did. It was all a scam from the start." Audrey put her hand to her mouth, her eyes welling up with tears. "Dad, how did you find out?" I told them everything. The honeymoon, the kitchen, the conversations I overheard, the phone I checked, the evidence I found. I showed them the screenshots I had saved on my own phone. They were in absolute shock. Ethan was red with anger. "That tramp, that wicked woman. I'll kill her, Dad." I grabbed his arm. "Calm down, son. Anger doesn't solve things. Intelligence does." I explained my plan. I needed their help. I needed to be discreet, calculated, and precise. I couldn't make a single mistake. They accepted instantly. They were indignant, angry. They wanted to help me give that woman what she deserved. The woman who had used me, humiliated me, and made me fight with my own children. First step: consult the family lawyer, Mr. Lewis was a serious, experienced man who had known our family for decades. He had handled the legal affairs of the deli, the house, everything. I scheduled a discreet meeting at his office. I brought all the evidence on a flash drive. Conversations, photos, videos, audio files, everything. Mr. Lewis plugged the drive into his computer, started looking, and with every file he opened, his expression grew more serious, more grave. When he finished, he took off his glasses, rubbed his eyes, and looked at me with pity. "Henry, my God, this is extremely serious. It's monstrous." I was calm, cold. All the pain had transformed into determination. "I know, counselor, and I need you to keep all of this very securely filed, because I'm going to need it soon." He understood immediately what I wanted. "You want to annul the marriage?" "I do, but it has to be at the exact right time. She can't suspect anything. She can't have time to prepare, to hide assets, to build a defense." Mr. Lewis began to explain the legal strategy. With that evidence, the marriage could be annulled on the grounds of bad faith, deception, and fraud. Texas law was clear. A marriage entered into with the intent to harm the other party can be declared void. And with the annulment, she would not be entitled to anything, absolutely nothing. Zero community property division, zero alimony, zero inheritance. But she could still be sued for emotional damages. Mr. Lewis explained that marital fraud grants the right to compensation. I could sue her and seek compensation for the emotional distress, the exposure, the humiliation. "How much do you think I can ask for?" He thought for a moment. "With this evidence, $1 million, $2 million, maybe more. It depends on the judge, but she will certainly be convicted." Perfect. She wanted to take $11 million from me. She was going to leave with a $1 million debt. The irony was delicious. I returned home. Skylar was there, watching television, eating chocolate ice cream. "Hi, honey. Where were you?" "I went to sort out some supplier issues in the city." I lied naturally. I was getting good at lying too. Maybe she had taught me. Second step of the plan, the final trap. I waited a few more weeks. I let Skylar get more and more comfortable, more secure. She kept asking for things, new clothes, jewelry, home renovations, and I kept agreeing to everything, making a note of every request, every expense she wanted to make with my money. More evidence, more proof of her material interest, until the time came. One Thursday night during dinner, I made the announcement. "Honey, I need to travel next week. I need to settle some supplier issues down in Miami. I'll be gone for 5 or 6 days." I saw the flash in her eyes. She tried to hide it, but I knew that flash now. It was the flash of opportunity, of temporary freedom. "Is everything all right, honey?" "When are you leaving?" "Monday morning." "Oh, what a shame. I'll miss you. But go easy, I'll take care of the house." She could barely hide her smile. She was already planning, already mentally calling Chad, arranging for him to come spend a few days here, in my house, in my bed, eating my food, drinking my liquor. But this time, I was going to be ready. On Saturday, while Skylar was out shopping, Ethan and Audrey came over with a trusted technician. We installed hidden cameras. In the living room, strategically placed behind a framed photo. In the bedroom, inside the closet, with a full view of the bed. In the kitchen, disguised in a wall clock. Everything recorded in high definition, with perfect audio. Everything was being sent to a cloud server in real time. I could watch everything from my cell phone, no matter where I was. On Monday morning, I said goodbye to Skylar. "Goodbye, honey. Take care of the house for me." I kissed her on the cheek. She kissed me back, all smiles. "Go easy. I'll take care of everything." I grabbed my suitcase, got into my car, started the engine, and drove away. But I didn't go to Miami. I went to the apartment Ethan had rented for me right here in Houston. A small furnished apartment downtown, just a few miles from my house. I arrived, put away my things, turned on the laptop, opened the camera feeds, and waited. It didn't take long. That same day, in the late afternoon, the doorbell rang. I saw Skylar rushing to the door through the cameras, all excited. She opened it. It was Chad, backpack on his shoulders, a wide smile on his face. She jumped into his arms. They kissed right there at the entrance to my house. A long, lingering kiss, unhurried, not bothering to hide anything. After all, the old man was away on a trip. They walked in, closed the door, and the show began. For 7 days, I watched the nightmare unfold. Chad lived in my house, slept in my bed, used my shower, ate the food from my fridge, drank my wine, my beer, my scotch. He sat on my sofa, watched my television, and all the time they talked. They talked about me, about the scam, about the future. On the first night, already in bed, Chad asked, "How much longer, Skylar?" She replied, "A year and 8 months. Then we sell everything, and we're out of here. I can't stand it anymore. I'm tired of working in a resort. I want to live comfortably." "We're going to live comfortably, honey, with almost 20 million in the bank." On the third day, they were in the living room eating pizza they ordered with my credit card. She had memorized the number. Chad asked, "What if he finds out?" Skylar laughed. "He won't find out. He's too dense. An old man in love sees nothing. We can make out right here in the living room, and when he gets back, he won't suspect a thing." On the fifth day, they were in the kitchen. Skylar was showing Chad the renovations she wanted to do. "I'm going to spend as much as I can before the 2 years are up. That way, when we sell, it'll be worth more." He's agreeing to everything. He even agreed to build a pool. Clever. It's not cleverness, it's strategy. A foolish old man deserves to be robbed. Every word was recorded, every gesture documented, every second of betrayal registered in high definition. Everything was being saved in the cloud. Everything was being stored as evidence, and they had no idea. On the 7th day, Sunday night, I sent a text to Skylar. "Honey, I'm coming back early tomorrow. Things got sorted out faster than I thought." Her reply, "That's great. I miss you, liar." I immediately saw through the cameras how she ran to the bedroom, alerting Chad. "Honey, he's coming back tomorrow. You have to go." Chad ran out, literally ran, grabbed his backpack, jumped the back fence to avoid being seen by the neighbors, and Skylar started a frantic cleanup. She changed the sheets on the bed, threw the empty bottles in the trash, cleaned everything, mopped the floor, removing every trace. Within 2 hours, the house was spotless, as if nothing had happened. She thought she had covered all the tracks, but I had everything recorded. Every second, every conversation, every betrayal, every piece of evidence that this was a premeditated scam. On Monday morning, I returned home. It was time for the final act. When I arrived, Skylar was all dressed up, smiling. "Honey, I missed you so much. How was the trip?" "It was perfect," I replied, "but I prepared a surprise for you." She got excited. "What surprise?" "A special dinner to celebrate our love." She nearly jumped for joy. I asked her to get dressed up nicely. I set the table, lit candles, put out flowers, all very romantic. She came downstairs, all dolled up, in a beautiful dress, makeup perfect. She sat at the table smiling, and then the doorbell rang. "Who is it?" she asked. "The surprise," I replied. I opened the door. In walked Mr. Lewis, my 2 children, and Mrs. Dorothy Hayes, Skylar's mother. Skylar's face turned white. "Mom, what are you doing here?" Mrs. Hayes was crying. "I came to see with my own eyes what my daughter has become. Mr. Peterson showed me everything." I turned on the living room TV. I started playing the videos. Maui first. Skylar and Chad in the kitchen planning to rob me. Then the videos from my house. The 2 of them in my bed, eating my food, laughing at me. Skylar tried to turn it off. Ethan stopped her. "Sit down and watch." When the videos ended, Mr. Lewis read the phone conversations. All of them. Mrs. Hayes cried harder. "Shame on you, Skylar. I raised you for this? To rob a good man? You embarrass me." Skylar stammered. "This is a lie. It's fabricated. I'm the victim." Mr. Lewis cut her off. "We have forensic evidence of everything. Authenticated, legal," he explained. "Marriage under 2 years. Proof of fraud and bad faith. You are not entitled to anything. 0. The marriage will be annulled, and you will be sued for emotional damages." Skylar collapsed. "Henry, forgive me. It was weakness." I looked at her coldly. "You said an old man in love is blind. You were right. But this old man opened his eyes. Good luck with your chef." Ethan stepped in directly. 1 hour to get out. Take only what's yours." She left crying. She called Chad. "Honey, it went wrong. I need you." He, realizing she had no money, said, "Well, good luck." He hung up, blocked her, and disappeared. The marriage was annulled. Skylar was ordered to pay a $1 million indemnity for emotional distress. Her reputation was ruined. She was unemployable. She went back to working minimum wage jobs. Chad was arrested a few years later, running similar cons on other women. I recovered. I sold the deli, retired, traveled with my children, and met Mrs. Quinn, a widow in her late 60s. We became friends. The friendship turned into love. Real love. She doesn't want my money. "I want companionship, not a bank account," she said. We got married years later. My children approved. Today, I know the difference. Skylar spent months trying to manipulate me. Quinn spent months not asking for anything. On the fake honeymoon, I was betrayed. In real life, I have true companionship. That is love. The rest is just a performance. If this story of betrayal, of discovering the truth, and starting over after the pain touched your heart, please leave that like button glowing brightly so this grandpa feels happy. Subscribe to the Grandpa's Diaries channel right now so you don't miss the next stories I will share with all my heart. And tell me in the comments where you're watching this video from and what time it is there now. Have you gone through a romantic disappointment that taught you something important? Have you ever put your trust in the wrong person? I love knowing what city you are in and at what time of day you are joining me. This entire experience was a devastating lesson in the true cost of loneliness and the critical importance of listening to those who genuinely care about you. It showed me that vulnerability, while human, can be ruthlessly exploited by professional predators. I learned that true value isn't measured in dollar amounts or assets, but in the unconditional support of family and the courage to rebuild your life on a foundation of reality, not fantasy. Never let loneliness cloud your judgment to the point where you ignore the red flags waving right in front of your face. The greatest freedom is recognizing that your self-worth is independent of whether or not you have a partner. I finally understood that walking away from a toxic situation, even one you desperately wanted to believe in, is the strongest act of self-love you can perform. Always trust your children's protective instincts. They see the world and the gold diggers in it with clearer eyes than an infatuated heart ever could.